Hi guys, it's Thursday and we are getting started with our ELA lesson for today. Okay, so before we have talked about all kinds of nouns. So what is a noun? Pause your video and say to yourself what a noun is. We talked about common nouns, proper nouns, plural nouns. Give an example. What is a noun and give an example. Okay, so now today we're going to talk about possessive nouns. Possessive nouns show that something is owned by someone or something. So they show ownership. Okay, and let's look at the examples. The dog's bowl, the girl's dress. What do you notice about these possessive nouns? Yes, the possessive nouns have an apostrophe. Possessive nouns must have an apostrophe so that they can show ownership. So Dad's car, Mrs. Smith's class. The apostrophes show the ownership of the noun. Okay, so let's look at the example at the top. The papers belong to Mr. Elliot. Okay, who owns something? Mr. Elliot. So when I talk about Mr. Elliot owning the papers, I wouldn't say the papers belonging to Mr. Elliot are on the cabinet. I would say Mr. Elliot's papers are on the cabinet. So how would we write that? So we said who owns something? That's Mr. Elliot. And to that we would add an apostrophe S. What does Mr. Elliot own? He owns papers. So Mr. Elliot's papers is how we would write that. Let's look at another example. The nest belonging to the birds. Okay? So when I'm saying a sentence or writing it on my paper, I wouldn't say the eggs were in the nest belonging to the birds. I would say the eggs were in the bird's nest. Okay? So who owns something? Birds. And if you look closely at birds, what do you notice about birds? It has an S already at the end. What does that S mean about birds? Yes, that means that it is plural. There are more than one bird. So when a noun is plural, we don't add an apostrophe S because the S is already there. So we just simply want to add an apostrophe. And we still say birds. But what do the birds own? The birds own the nest. So we would say bird's nest. But we use the apostrophe to show the ownership. We show that the birds own the nest. Okay, now pause your video and see if you can write these phrases using a possessive noun. The room that belongs to Ryan, what would you write? The book that belongs to the library, what would you write? The jewelry that belongs to the girls. And make sure you notice the girls is underlined. The toys that belong to the cats. Again, cats is underlined. What did we just say if it is a plural? And the last one, the phone that belongs to mom. Pause your video and write these possessive nouns. All right, so far we have learned so many nouns that begin with P. We've learned plural nouns. Give an example of a plural noun. Yes, those are nouns that are naming more than one. What about a proper noun? We've named a proper noun. What is a proper noun? And give an example. Yes, a proper noun names a specific person, place, or thing, and it begins with a capital letter. And we just learned about possessive nouns. And we said that possessive nouns show ownership. What is a possessive noun? And give an example. Very good. Okay, so now I want you to pause your video and I want you to read this passage, Too Much Chocolate. Pause your video and read that passage. Pause it and take your time. Keep reading. You didn't pause it. Okay, so let's look at these questions now that you have read the entire passage. All this week we've been talking about sequencing, and we said that we like to color code our events so that it makes it easier for us to find in the passage. So number 1 says, put the events of the story in the correct order. Write the numbers 1, 2, or 3 to the left of each box to show the correct order of events. So let's look at the first event. Kiara ate a piece of chocolate shaped like a bunny. Kiara ate a piece of chocolate with marshmallow goo. Kiara had chocolate in her hair. So let's color code our events. Okay, so the first one, Kiara ate a piece of chocolate shaped like a bunny, and I found it in the passage there, and now I'm going to color code it. Okay, find the next event. Kiara ate a piece of chocolate with marshmallow goo. Do we see it? There it is. And the last event, Kiara had chocolate in her hair. Where did we read that she had chocolate in her hair? Yes. Okay, so now we're ready to place 1, 2, or 3 in the blank. And again, do you notice how easy it is for us to number our questions because we color-coded our events? Okay, so the first event that happened in this story is what? Yes, Kiara ate a piece of chocolate with marshmallow goo. What's the next event that happened? Yes, Kiara ate a piece of chocolate shaped like a bunny. And the last thing that happened? Yes, Kiara had chocolate in her hair. Okay, so number 2, let's look at this question. What kind of candy did Kiara and Tyler get on Halloween? And I noticed that it tells me to pick 2 choices. Okay, so first I'm going to go to the passage and find where this happened in the story. Where did I read about the kind of candy that they get for Halloween? Pause your video and see if you can find that part. Yes. Some gave them lollipops, some gave them caramel. That's what I see. Okay, so now when I mark my answers, I'm going to match it with what I highlighted. So I see some gave them lollipops, so I'm going to mark lollipops. Then the next sentence said some gave them caramel, so I'm going to mark that as well. And remember, I picked 2 choices because that's what the directions told me to do. Okay, let's keep going. Number 3. Why isn't Tyler mad at the end of the story? So if it tells us at the end of the story, let's find the part of the story where he walked in on her. So take a minute, pause your video, and reread this part of the story. Okay, so why isn't he mad? What did the text tell us? Yes, he started laughing. And why was he laughing? Because it said her face was covered with chocolate. So he thought that she looked funny with chocolate all over her. And so how do we know that he isn't mad? We just underlined it. Because he started laughing. Very good. Okay, let's look at number 4. Which sentence from the passage tells how Kiara goes into Tyler's room secretly? How do we know that she goes into his room secretly? Find that part in the story. Okay, there's this part of the story. And what did we read? Yes. When they went to the backyard, she sneaked upstairs. And if you're sneaking, you're doing something secretly. Okay, and let's look at number 5. What does Tyler do that Kiara does not? And again, the directions tell me to pick 2 choices. Okay? So I see her brother had gone as a clown. That's one thing that he did. And she dressed as a bumblebee. And another thing is he ate his candy slowly. And because we know that she ate hers quickly. So which 2 choices match what I just highlighted? Yes, he dresses as a clown. That was the first thing we noticed. And we noticed that he makes his candy last for a few weeks. Very good. All right, great job. So now you can go to Epic and we're going to finish up our last monster story. And this monster story is How I Met My Monster. So you should have already read 2 books about monsters. One was I Need My Monster. That was the first one we read on Monday. Yesterday you read Hey, That's My Monster. And today we're going to finish up with How I Met My Monster and learn the final book and read the final book about Ethan and his sister Gabe. Don't forget, take the AR quiz when you're done. All right, talk to you tomorrow.